Good morning, this is Pam, Flower Patch Farmhouse, and today we're going to do our mid-July tour of the secret garden. Now I confess that it's a little bit messier than I would have liked at this time of year, but I've been so focused in redoing the front garden that some of this has been let go a little further than I would like. So, but it's still pretty and I'm still enjoying it. Yesterday I was out here videoing how to take seeds from foxgloves and replant them for next spring. So lot going on, and I will show you around. So we will start here next to the studio like we usually do. The sound you hear is my fountain that I have right down here to my left. Let me see if I can show you. A pretty little fountain. I got that at Decor Steals, and every now and then they come up with these fountains that are really pretty and relatively inexpensive. I've seen these fountains elsewhere and they were for a whole lot more money, so I like getting them from Decor Steals. Let's see, the bench here is still my staging area for shady plants. I have some hostas in here, some lobelia that, now that I'm looking at that pot, something dug it up. I've been having something dig in my garden, and I don't know if it's a fox or what have you. It's after the gopher, because I notice he digs up the gopher feeder holes, and I really hope he catches them because they're wreaking havoc in my garden. But anyways, as I said, here we are. There's a pathway over here, and we will walk along it. Now the pathways are full of weeds. Like I said, I haven't been able to keep up with them, so that's something that I need to tackle. But right now, the black-eyed Susans and the larkspur are what are really blooming well, and I love the two colors together. And the hummingbirds absolutely love the larkspur. They come to it in droves. I'm using my regular DSLR camera because my phone wasn't really giving me good quality videos, and I'm not sure why. But anyways, so over there is the Arbor bench, and I have some Japanese maple staged there. Over here, which we'll get up closer, right here, it's a not a tree lily, but it's a tall lily, and it's fading. You know, between the first video I did this month and now, it's just bloomed like crazy. It smelled beautiful, and now it's pretty much done. Let's walk over there and see it. It's a really beautiful purple or white with purple speckled throat, and you need to get under it to really appreciate that, but it's still just gorgeous. Most of my lilies have been eaten by the gophers, so I'm not sure why they haven't eaten this one, but they haven't. Not that they won't. The hummingbirds here, they think I'm invading their space for some reason. Now along here, like I said, there is a path. It's being obscured by these black-eyed Susans, but I don't know if the water got on the heads and they flopped over, or if there's a gopher undermining the roots, which that's probably it, because I know there's a lot of gopher activity over here. But it's still fun. I had to put my white swan echinacea in a pot because the gophers they ate the last one I put in the ground, so I kept this one in the pot. And I absolutely love it. It blooms from midsummer all the way to fall, and it's just that spark of white that even when the daisies are done blooming, that still blooms. Down here, which someone was asking me what it was, is feverfew. This is a double, and it has a cucumber beetle on it, but I have doubles and I have singles, and they reseed themselves readily, and they fill in but they're really easy to pull out if they're in areas I don't want. Also, if I cut these down, like when they're starting to come up in June, they'll bloom shorter because they can get quite tall, and I don't always want them that tall. But just know you can chop them down. All right, let's walk around. Since this pathway over on this side is really obscured, I'm going to go down the center path. So here we are. This is the center path. Here, weed ridden. Over here this is my Princess Alexandra of Kent rose in a pot. One of the many I had to dig up. Of course, you know that because I've said it before. But here's my centerpiece. The petunias are still just gorgeous. I love how they stay compact. They're not rambling everywhere. I just want them to stay beautifully right in the planter area and not to be spilling all over in the garden where I have to chop them back. I've not had to deadhead any of these. They probably could use a little bit of deadheading just because it would help them if they slow down in blooming, but so far they haven't. They're just doing beautifully. Let's walk around to the left of the centerpiece. I'm still working on this various pathways. And this one goes down this way. Now I've been working on a plan to maybe do a boardwalk path instead of the stones. I wouldn't get the weeds between, and it just might be a neater scenario. I just have to get me some, treated 2x4s to put underneath so that it would last a long time. And I have the cedar fence boards I would make them from. I wouldn't do them from pallets. I've seen people do them from pallets, but the pallet wood rots really quick where the cedar will last for years and years. And once I build these things, I don't want to have to rebuild it anytime soon. So I used a piece of hardware cloth here because everything was flopping over. And here's my purple rooster monarda. I'm going to zoom in for you. And that bee balm is just gorgeous. I dug that up and replanted it in another area. The other area was too shaded by another plant and it hasn't bloomed yet, but now that I've moved that plant, it will. So I'm really glad this came up here. I moved it because it was so tall right here, but as you see, it's not any taller than the larkspur. This spreads really well, so if you want more, it just, like I said, spreads. You just dig it up, the pieces, and transplant it. It seems to transplant really well for me. Okay, so let's walk along here. I don't have a gimbal for this phone, so it might be shakier than I wanted, but I wanted the clear picture. So here's the bamboo that I moved. This is the bamboo. It was over in that corner, and right next to it is the purple rooster monarda, which you see is short and not blooming yet, though it has little buds on it, and it's been flopping over. So I need to stake it up, and now that it's going to be getting more sun, it will go ahead and bloom for me. And it's right next to these beautiful lavender delphiniums that are finishing up their bloom. I chopped back some of the stalks already, and hopefully some of it will rebloom. Because if you chop it back hard to the ground, they can rebloom. Some of it, look how tall it is. It's growing up into that peach tree. So next year I know to cut back that peach tree limb, therefore my delphiniums won't get knocked about by it. So let's turn to the left. The pathway we did not come down, and you see there's the black-eyed Susies that fell down into the path. There's a tomato back there. Now this piece of metal I'm going to move. I thought I would like it kind of as a block to the alley or the neighbor's yard, and I'm finding I don't. I think I'm going to put another clematis back here to climb the fence, and that will provide the privacy I want. In the winter, I'm not out here so much, so it doesn't really matter. But if I move that, this tomato will get a whole lot more sun. So that's what I want it to do. So let's move to the right. We're going along the outside pathway, or the pathway that goes around the secret garden. Over here is where all of those foxgloves were. You can see these ones have gone to seed or are going to seed. And So I'm collecting the seed and I'm putting them back there against the fence. And that way they'll go ahead and germinate this summer, and they will uh, stay in the ground all overwinter and then bloom next spring. Really pretty. So let's go along the path. In fact, you can see my little tub down there that I was collecting seeds in. So I need to finish doing some more of that today. These are all open pollinated, so I don't know what colors I'll get. I just know they'll all be beautiful. So here is some of my poppies. I have pink and I have red. I bought seeds for what's called amazing gray poppies, and I never did get them in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw them in a patch this summer, and then they'll germinate and hopefully bloom next winter. So I have another delphinium right down here. Isn't that gorgeous? This is the one I moved from the front garden back here because all my delphiniums back here seem to do so much better. I don't know if it's the sandy soil. I don't know if it gets more sun, but I really wanted this one to flourish like all the others. And this fall, some of them that are really thick, I'm going to divide. I'm going to dig up and divide, and I'll be sure and share that with you in a video, how I do that. So here's the path going along. You see I have my dahlias finally all potted up, and I'm going to stage them in here. As I weed out areas, I'm going to set up the dahlias. Right now they're in the middle of my path, but I still haven't cleared where I'm going to put them. So that's on the agenda. My iceberg rose back there, climber, I'm absolutely loving, and it's taking off. It had been in the ground a couple years and didn't do anything, and come to find out that's a path right underneath it of the gophers, a main thoroughfare highway. So its roots were always getting nibbled off. That's why it didn't do very well. So right here is the pathway right here that goes down to the vegetable garden. Right through here I have something digging for the gophers, but that's okay. They keep it weed free, and hopefully they'll catch them. So here's my first blooming dahlia. This is called Melissa. And I thought I had lost it to the gopher eating, but I was able to save the tuber last fall, and thankfully it's doing great in this galvanized tub. So there's another one of the delphiniums that have been blooming for me just gorgeously. This one can be divided, and I will divide it, because it's just so thick and full, and it keeps them healthier if you divide them. Down here is my Aglaya daisy, also called Shaggy Maggie, which it is. It's very, very shaggy. Let me move in and focus on it for you. But I just love them. They are so unique. And behind it is a sweet pea. I'll trim that up to bring in the house. So let's move over to the right. I'm going to show you back the center pathway, and you can't even see it. Yep. This needs to be weeded and cut back, and look, a big old poppy right in the middle of the path, but I will get it done eventually. This year is just the first year of really having my garden in the new format of like a paradise garden with the centerpiece and the pathways coming out from 4 directions. So I am slowly designing it as I go along. So that's why it's not picture perfect. My gardens are never picture perfect, but I enjoy them anyways. So down here where there's a big bare spot was where my tomato soup echinacea was. And it was blooming beautifully, and I came out here the next day, I think it was yesterday, and it was toppled over and wilted, and come to find out, gophers were eating it. So I have it in pots. I'll show you where it's at now. I think it's recovering nicely. This whole area has just not been touched at all. So this is on my list to do. I'm going to go around, and I'm going to go down the path that I haven't quite finished. Oh, before I do that, hold on to your hats. I had to show you these. Aren't these the most gorgeous purple? In fact, I don't think they're coming true in this, at least on the screen they're not. They are just a deep purple with streaks of blue in them. Let me see if I can zoom up for you and focus. Just absolutely gorgeous delphiniums. I've told you this before, but I'll mention it again in case you're new here. I bought the seeds for these from Dowdeswell Delphiniums in New Zealand. And these, to my mind and from my growing, are far superior to anything I've bought here in the United States. So if you like or want such beautiful delphiniums, hop on over to their website and get some of their seeds. I've had no trouble in germinating them and growing them. And I do have a post on my blog on how I grow them from seeds. So I do it several different ways. But anyways, here we're going along. And here's the pathway. One of the side paths. And I was going to do the stones, and I think this is where I'm going to do my first boardwalk. And I'm going to get to that eventually. Here's one of my sweet peas on. These I got at Lowe's. I have not ever found them again. I have two of them, one on each side of this path. And I have sweet peas growing at the base. Some of them were eaten by gophers, so it's a bummer. But that's what my life is right now. So here's some beautiful, these are called Milky Way Morning Glory. These reseeded themselves, and oh, looky right here. I didn't even notice. This is a volunteer tomato. But I had a pile of compost here last fall, so that's probably where that came from. And more dahlias in a pot. So now we are back to the centerpiece. And I will walk you around to the vegetable garden. I guess I can show you along my back. This is underneath my deck, and this is 2 vintage climbing roses, and I have them trained along the lattice here, and that is the board that was the pathway for the area I'm standing now. But anyways, so those roses, and they're really sweet smelling, so when you walk this gravel path, that's all you smell. So this is the area right in front of where my greenhouse sits. It's a lower level, and this is the path to my chicken pen. So these 2 volunteer hollyhocks are kind of taken over in here, but I let them. So far they're doing great. That's an area that doesn't get watered, so water must seep down from this upper bed. So I have some things in pots along here that I just keep here to take care of until I know where they're going to go. Here is another, this is an upside down tomato cage. Not the one behind, but the one in front that has the pot. And I have some beautiful sweet peas growing on it. Pretty pretty. I pick them daily so they keep on blooming. Let me refocus. And I have some tomatoes in this bed. I had other vegetables and things in this bed, but they were doing so poorly. And again, it has been the gophers. So I've got squash going on down here, and it's ready to pick. See if you can see that beautiful squash plant. And I've got a few in there, so I know what we're having for dinner tonight. Some more tomatoes. I've decided to get more of these beds. They have worked beautifully, but I can turn them, instead of going this way, turn them where they're going this way, so they're a long way this way. And I'll get a lot more in this lower area, and I'm going to line the bottoms of all of them with hardware cloth, and that way the gophers can't eat everything like they've been doing. This one over here, everything's doing great because that's the one I have lined, and I can't believe the difference, so it makes sense to line them all. Here is where my lettuce has been, and it's now going to seed, which is what I want. So I'm going to collect the seed and then replant after I've moved the bed and stuff. So I'm going to get tons and tons of seed. That lettuce has been absolutely delicious. It's a heirloom mix, and it didn't turn bitter even when it got hot. So I just allowed some to bolt and go to seed so that I could harvest the seed and start another crop. So I had so many tomatoes this year because all of them germinated and away a lot. I still had tons and I couldn't kill them, so I planted them. So they're everywhere around my garden. And they're a pretty plant even if I don't get any tomatoes, but I am getting tomatoes. And here is my sentimental rose. It's just finishing up its first bloom, but you notice it's already got more buds coming. This has been doing tremendous in this pot, and all I could think of is because when I had to hurriedly dig this up and put it in the pot, the only dirt I had was my compost right out of my compost bin, and this has loved it. So let me pan up towards the side of the greenhouse. Now my bucket, that's my bucket that I haul my chicken manure in, but up here is a bunch of spare plants. I've got a couple tomatoes up there. My sweet peas are doing really great up here. And I'm going to show you. I just stuck one of these little concrete mesh pieces and let them climb up it. And it just stuck right in the ground, and it made the perfect support for them. And these I have been picking daily as well. I just picked some yesterday, and look, I've got a whole bunch more on it. The more I pick, the more they bloom. Well, now I'm going to swing around to my emergency room for plants. And there is my tomato soup echinacea. One thing about it, when I dug it up, it fell apart, the roots. So now I have it in 2 pots, so I have 2 of them. I really need to cut the blooms off so they can focus on rejuvenating their roots. But I didn't want to lose that one. It's not a popular one you can find, so I didn't want to lose it, like I said. And that is tomato soup because of its beautiful color. And it was really getting going this year. I just hate to see that they did that to it, but another reason to build them raised beds and put my plants in them. So that is pretty much my secret garden on July 15th. And everything is still a work in progress, but I enjoy working out here while it's still cool. We've had hot afternoons, but I get out here in the morning and work until it's just too hot anymore. And then I also do a video for you of the front garden. So be sure to come on back. And, oh, there's my tripod I was using and then decided it was a big flop. Anyways, so come on back and we'll see how it looks the first week of August.